madness is about this, isn't it? Apparently, according to people that have seen this case in it, they said that this is one of the most disturbing things that they have ever listened to. Apparently, it's that bad. So, if that is the case, sit up, listen up, get your drinks, get your popcorn, whatever it is, and just listen up in it. Because this...
One of the most common suggestions to make a video about, and one of the most common questions on Q&As that I get, is what is the most horrific case I've ever heard of?
Okay.
It's a case that I'm sure a lot of you have heard of by now, but I'm not sure if you've ever heard about it in complete, gruesome detail.
I've heard about it, I just obviously... I don't know what's happened. I just heard that what happened to this girl is very mad.
This is the story of Junko Furuta, widely considered to be one of the worst crimes ever committed in human history.
In human history?
So for the love of God, please don't watch this if you're sensitive to extreme violence, especially of the sexual variety.
I'm not, no. I'm alright.
Trust me. Junko Furuta was a young woman who was born in Misato in the Saitama prefecture of Japan.
Okay.
Her family consisted of a mother, father, an older brother, and a younger brother.
Okay.
She attended high school at a school in Saitama while working part-time at a plastic molding factory after school. She was saving up for a big graduation trip she was planning. She was all set up to start working at an electronics store after she graduated.
Okay.
She was fairly popular and well-liked by her classmates. She had great grades and was hardly ever absent. She was active, attractive, and attracted a lot of attention, which made some people jealous. She didn't drink, didn't smoke, and definitely never touched any drugs. This made her seem very lame in the eyes of the thugs around the...
Do you know what I've learned about Japan, though? You hear some of the maddest stories that happen in Japan when it comes to, like, the schools in, like, high school. You hear, like, sometimes the bullying in Japan is not even bullying. Like, it's genuine torture. I've heard some of the maddest things that have gone on in Japan, like Japanese schools. And you think to yourself, no, that can't be real. Then you search it up and you realize the bullying in Japan is so bad to why, like, a lot of, like, young people in Japan, like, that kill themselves. Like, it's really bad, isn't it? So, honestly, you know, like, it's quite disgusting, actually, to be honest. Like, don't get it twisted. There is bullying in every facet of the world. Every country you go to, there is bullying. There is not a single country that does not have bullying. Of course not. You know, you'd be living in a fantasy land at that point. However, though, some countries are worse than others. Example, America. Another example, Japan. In America, it is so bad, the bullying, that kids from as young as 11, maybe even younger sometimes, will pull up to school with a gun and primarily shoot everyone that's ever caused them an issue. And then, when they do eliminate those said people, now they just go guns blazing and start shooting up everybody just because they think the world needs to burn. That is America. It's so bad. And then Japan is just like, you just hear like a lot of them, like, no school shoots, nothing like that. I don't think there's guns in Japan. I'm not sure. I think maybe the police have guns, but I'm pretty sure the police have guns, but overall, like, the citizens can't have guns. Anyways, in Japan, it's so bad that a lot of, like, the kids genuinely will kill themselves. They don't do nothing to nobody. They don't, like, go on a rampage. They don't do, like, you know, like, I think very few have, but most of the time they do end up just killing themselves. So honestly, if you are bullying someone, like, at your high school or college or primary school, whatever the fuck it is, innit? Look at yourself and really chat to yourself, innit? Why are you bullying this person? What does that do for you? Like, seriously, what does it do for you? Does it get you hard? Does it really, like, get your rocks off? What does it do for you? At the end of the day, you're just a dog shit human, whether you're a man or a girl. You're just a dog shit human, bro. Simple as that. So honestly, yeah, when it comes to bullying, you know, I'm not saying, you know, actually, no, I am. When for the people who bully people, right? I hope, yeah, you get a taste of your own medicine just once, and you experience what you do to others, and then you finally realize, you know what, I'm a fucking asshole, and I will never bully again. Simple as that. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
School, the Yakuza wannabes. One of the boys in this group was named Hiroshi Miyano.
It's a part of the Yakuza.
He actually developed a bit of a crush on her and wanted to get physical with her. He proposed this and she refused. Hiroshi was a pretty big bully in this school, one of the only ones actually involved with the younger members of the Yakuza at the time. Usually, nobody dared defy him. He couldn't believe that Junko actually had the gall to turn him down.
Sometimes proper rejection is it.
Hiroshi did not take this well at all. He couldn't believe that anyone would ever reject him. Complete and total insult. He got together with a few of his wannabe Yakuza buddies and they all hatched a plan to get revenge on Junko. They would get another one of their friends to attack Junko, and then Hiroshi would come to the rescue.
Oh,
after
yes.
he won a bit of...
I was going to say, actually, before, obviously, new follower and everything. Thank you, Lanny, again. So all the men, because it's usually men, so all the men that crash out simply because you got rejected by a ting, fix up. Better yet, get a brick and knock yourself over. Seriously. Bro, you're not supposed to get accepted by every ting that you approach. There is going to be rejection at some point. It is not that deep. Rejection happens to everybody. Bro, seriously, me myself, I've been with plenty of people. I'm going to keep it a buck. I've been with plenty of women in my life. But I've also experienced rejection. Sometimes you don't win. It is what it is. That's life. You're not supposed to get every girl or man or whatever you like in life. Unless I was a leng ting, a 10 out of 10, then that's different. But in reality, on a normal day-to-day basis, you're going to get rejected. That is life. Stop crashing out because you got rejected. Fix up, man. Look at yourself, man, and hit yourself over the head.
Of her trust, they could take her wherever they wanted. On November 25th of 1988, Junko was riding her bike home from her part-time job when an unknown boy attacked her and knocked her off of her bike. The boy who liked her, Hiroshi Miyano, was conveniently across the street while the whole thing happened. He came to Junko's aid and scared off the random boy. He then offered to escort her home.
So this was part of the plan.
Everything seemed to be going as planned. While Junko didn't actually trust him, it seemed better than the alternative of possibly being attacked again. She didn't have any idea that Hiroshi harbored any sort of hatred towards her. She wouldn't have imagined that he would be planning anything like this. Hiroshi took Junko into an abandoned warehouse and revealed his Yakuza connections to her. He then took his time raping her over and over.
Jesus Christ.
Then he took her to a hotel. In the hotel, he called his friends, Joe Ogura and Yasushi Watanabe.
Look at this ugly piece of shit on the left. Look at this ugly piece of shit. The reason why I'm saying this is because I'm assuming if you have friends, you're part of the Yakuza, and this is what you're on, your friends, I'm assuming, are going to be on the same level of diabolical shit as you. Look at this ugly piece of shit on the left. No wonder you get no tings. Look at you. And the guy on the right had to cover his face so he doesn't get bullied or fucking beaten up. I swear to God. What I'm expecting is that these two took part in it, because that's what it sounds like in it. So
From then on, he and his three friends took turns assaulting her.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Unfortunately, this was not their first time doing this, as they had just recently done it to another girl in the past few weeks.
Fuck me.
They decided that they were having far too much fun to just set her free again. There was also the possibility that she would call the cops and tell them what happened, and they couldn't have that. The next morning, Hiroshi took Junko to a nearby park, where Joe, Yasushi, and a fourth boy, Nobuharu Minato, were waiting.
They keep covering. They don't deserve to be covered. They don't deserve it. This is diabolical. 4 different people took part in raping this poor girl. They don't deserve to have their face covered. I don't care. I hope, and I say this with the utmost honesty, I'm not even joking. I hope that these 4 people, I've only known that, I'm hoping that it was just 4 people in there, no one else. I really do, for the sake of this poor girl in it. I hope, right, that these 4 people, on God, I say, I'm not even joking, got the same treatment in jail. I don't care in it. That is actually foul. What? In a warehouse, in a hotel, in a park? They didn't let her go because they were having too much fun? It's fucking disgusting, bro. I can't lie, man. It's never that deep, man. I can't lie, man. It's never that deep. I said it once and I'll say it again. If you get rejected, it is not that deep. There is literally 8 billion people on planet Earth, and there are more women than there are men. Let's say there's like 4.5 billion women on this planet. Bro, if one rejects you, you still have 4.499999 billion left to go through. It is never that deep. And if you go obviously the harder way, which is obviously, talking to the girl, getting to know them, whatever, and then you still don't get, sex or whatever you're looking for at the end of it, bro, there are prostitutes. Take out your wallet and pay for a prostitute. And if you don't have the money, get a fucking job. It is not that deep. It is there's so many different routes to take rather than violating someone. Brother, come on now.
They learned Junko's address and used it to threaten her, telling her that they would kill her entire family if she tried to get away.
Brother.
The 4 teenage boys then took her back to Minato's parents' home, where they continued to assault her. This is where, for 42 more days, she would be held prisoner.
42 days?
On the 3rd day that Junko was missing, her parents were dealing with the police, trying to get her found. Knowing this would happen, the captors made her call her parents and tell them that she had run away and was staying with a friend, safe and sound. She was forced to ask her mom to stop the investigation. They held Junko captive in the bedroom, forcing her to pose as one of the boys' girlfriend. It didn't take long for the parents to realize that this was a lie. Eventually, they dropped the whole girlfriend act altogether, as it was very clear that they weren't going to get in any trouble.
Jesus Christ.
Immediately after arriving at the home, the boys forced Junko into becoming their toy. They beat her relentlessly and raped her countless times a day, often taking turns. They were proud of what they were doing, regularly boasting to their friends that they had a woman trapped and ready for their personal use. They invited a load of their friends to come over and have their way with her. In the first few days, at least 30 of them raped her, and at least 100 knew of her imprisonment. Even women were invited to come see the spectacle, with a
No. Have fucking shame for all those women that actually went to this yard, attended, and saw what was going on and did not say a fucking thing. You are as bad as them. Better yet, you're worse. Better yet, you are a woman. You know how difficult it is for a lot of women out there who actually have been, assaulted and all that stuff. To even think about it is mental. And yet you stood there, watched, and did nothing. What? I'm not crazy. Have shame. Have shame. 30 people attended and took part in what was happening to this poor girl. And 100 people knew about it and no one fucking snitched. I say this, right, with the utmost honesty. Me personally, I'm snitching. I don't care if you're part of the Yakuza, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. The person that I am now, don't give a fuck. I am snitching to everybody. Everybody. Everybody will know. And if you come for me, come for me. Come for me. I'll be waiting in this fucking seat. I'll be waiting in this seat. I promise you, no weapons. I'll be using just my hands. If you bring a weapon, innit? I promise you, the weapon you bring is the weapon that I'm going to finish you off with. I don't care. This is not on, fam. What the fuck?
Young girl even being invited to come over and see the prisoner, who then took a pen and doodled on her face. By the day 7 mark, Junko had been already completely stripped of all of her humanity. She was forced to be naked at all times and was constantly beaten and humiliated. They would shove her into the freezer for hours when they were bored with her, only pulling her out when they wanted to assault her again. Nobuharu Minato's brother and parents were living in the same house that she was being held in. His brother did nothing, aside from informing him that Junko might die at this rate. His parents were afraid to intervene as they had seen Nobuharu's violent nature firsthand. They also knew of his association with the Yakuza and feared of their possible retaliation. And most disgustingly, they worried about losing their good reputation in the community.
Oh, I've had to pause this video so many times. So many times. Reputation. Your reputation doesn't mean nothing at this point. That's your son. Your son is keeping you hostage in your own fucking home. That's mad. That's madness. What are we talking about? I say this again with the utmost honesty. There will never, ever, 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 ever be a day where my son or daughter, whichever one decides to be a gangbanger, God forbid, innit, will ever keep me hostage in my own fucking house with their mother. Are you crazy? There'll never be a fucking day. There'll never be a fucking day. Never be a day. All I'm saying is, is that I don't care if you're my son. I don't care if you're my daughter. I don't care who you are. In my own house, you are not going to get up to that level of bullshit in my fucking house. Are you crazy? Don't care if you're my son. Don't care if you're my daughter. You are disowned from that day onwards. I won't even look at you the same. If they give you the death penalty, I'll look at you and go, that's your own fault. And if you go to hell, that is also your fault as well. And from what I'm hearing, if that was my son or daughter, you deserve to go to hell. Pay for your fucking penance, bro. Seriously, that is mental.
After about 10 days of this torture, Junko's body was already starting to fail her.
Oh, sorry.
Because of the ongoing, endless beatings. So much blood had accumulated in her sinuses that she could no longer breathe through her nose. Her digestive system was also beginning to refuse food and water. If she attempted to eat or drink anything, she would instantly vomit. This also led to severe dehydration. Anytime she would vomit, her attackers would get angry and beat her even further. A vicious cycle that had no end in sight. When the nights got even colder, she was forced to sleep on the balcony of the home in extreme cold temperatures, sometimes near or below freezing. Eventually, one of the men that the attackers would invite over to the house to see Junko would go on to tell someone else about her, his brother. This brother of his ended up informing the police about what was going on at the Minato house.
Thank you.
2 officers were soon dispatched to go check things out. Minato's parents came to the door. When the police explained the situation, the parents simply responded that there was no girl in the house. The police took it at face value, thanked them, and left, without ever bothering to check even a single detail.
The police are negligent as well. The police are negligent as well. That poor girl. She genuinely could have been saved a lot earlier. But the police were so negligent. They took it at face value and didn't even bother checking. So what was the point of going there then? What was the point of getting in the car, turning it on, wasting petrol to go to the house just to get an article? Yeah, fine, fair enough. What? Like what? Take nothing at face value, bro. When it comes to stuff like this, And especially in that line of work, you take nothing at face value. You're a police officer. Do your fucking job. Yo, 42 days. So that means they found her at least on the 42nd day, no? Well, I imagine so. You know, and if she is alive, then, you know, Junko Furuta, I really hope that you're alive and well. You know, I hope that, you know, you've gone through the trauma and, you know, you've become a better person. You know, you're living a lavish life and whatever. You know, I hope you're okay in it. You know, God forbid, honestly, that ever happens to anyone that I know. Or just anyone in general, to be honest. God forbid.
After 20 days of torture, Junko was rendered completely unable to walk. She had had lighter fluid poured on her legs and set on fire, leaving her with severe burns. Her legs had also been targeted so severely during the beatings that they were left with severe muscle damage. She was unable to grip anything with her hands anymore, as they had been smashed with dumbbells to the point where her bones were crushed and her fingernails were shattered. Some nights later, the attackers got more rowdy than usual and ended up drinking too much. Junko took this as a chance to try to escape. She crawled down the stairs from the bedroom and reached the phone downstairs. She picked up the phone and began to call the police. The phone rang, and an officer picked up. Just as she was about to speak, Hiroshi came up behind her and grabbed the phone from her hands. He put the receiver to his ear and said, "I dialed by mistake," hanging up the phone. She was then pulled back into the bedroom. She was in complete terror, as she would obviously be severely punished for this. And she was correct. They punished her by holding her down and taunting her by waving a candle's flame all around her. Then they covered her entire body, mainly her legs, in lighter fluid and set her on fire once more. Afterwards, she started convulsing. The boys told everyone that she was faking it and set her on fire once again, only to put it out shortly after. Somehow, she survived. From this point on, she began begging her captors to just kill her and be done with it. They wouldn't grant her that favor. After being set on fire, they discovered a new way to torture her. The boys would hold her head against the concrete while the others would jump on it. One can only imagine what kind of pain and damage this would have caused. After about 30 days, Junko was no longer able to urinate properly. She had suffered severe damage to her genitals after they had been burned with cigarette lighters. She also had various foreign objects inserted into her, many sharp and jagged. Even fireworks had been inserted into her. The fireworks were not limited to only one orifice, as they were also inserted into her anus, mouth, and ears as well. She was left with eardrum damage so severe that she was nearly deaf at this point. Her hands and feet were so damaged that she could hardly move. At best, she could crawl. It took her over an hour to crawl to the bathroom. A later report showed that her brain...
Bear in mind, all of this, because she rejected you. Brother, there are some sick people. There are some sick people in this world. Seriously. Fix the fuck up. Rejection?
Brain size was greatly reduced by this point in time. Due to her hellish appearance, the boys no longer found her attractive. They used the same strategy again to abduct and gang rape another 19-year-old woman while she was on her way home from work.
Fucking hell. How many people have these lot raped? And the police have done nothing?
During these 44 days of hell, Junko Furuta was forced to withstand the most unspeakable torture and suffering that a person can imagine. Some of what was done to her includes being raped many times every single day, day and night, in all orifices. More than 100 men are believed to have raped her by the end. Sometimes she was raped by up to 12 different attackers in a single day. Constant humiliation. She was forced to be left naked most of the time. Many of the men who raped her also urinated on her. She was forced to pleasure herself in front of the attackers for their entertainment. She was beaten physically every day. She was beaten with golf clubs, iron rods, bamboo sticks, and various other objects. She had dumbbells dropped all over her body and her head stomped against the ground, face first. She had hot wax poured all over her face with a focus on her eyelids. Her eyelids were also burned with cigarettes and cigarette lighters. She was violated with a long list of various objects shoved into all orifices, including but not limited to bottles, both broken and unbroken, iron bars, scissors, roasting needles, chicken skewers, and more. She was given only a strict bare minimum of food and water. At times, she was forced to eat cockroaches and drink urine. She had fireworks put into all of her orifices, leaving damage and severe burns. She had her left nipple ripped off by a pair of pliers. She would be tied up flat on the floor and had dumbbells dropped all over her body. The drops on her abdomen were so hard that it caused her to lose all control of her bowels. She was hung from the ceiling and used as a punching bag. She was shoved into a freezer and kept there for hours at a time. Her eyelids were burned with hot wax and lighters when she closed her eyes in fear. Her breasts were stabbed with sewing needles, the needles often being left inside. Her genitals were burned with cigarettes and lighters.
Fuck.
She had a hot, lit light bulb inserted into her vagina and moved around until it shattered. By the end, she looked like a completely different person after all of the damage. It was hard to even make out her facial features. Her body was severely damaged and crippled, and she smelled as if she were already rotting. She was continuously heavily bleeding from her genitals from all of the abuse. She wheezed heavily, struggling to breathe from all of the blood accumulated in her sinuses. On day 40, January 1st, Junko woke up to New Year's Day alone. She spent the day begging to be killed, completely unable to move.
I don't blame
3
you.
days later, on the fateful day of the 4th of January, the boys challenged Junko to a game of Mahjong
Fateful
solitaire
day.
and forced her to play.
Did she die?
Somehow, even in her condition, she won the game. This infuriated her captors, who treated her to a severe beating with an iron barbell. And then,
But then, why play with her then? But why, bro? If she is beating you in this game in those conditions, stop playing the game. Or is it just an excuse for you to beat her some more? Come on, bro. Come on. What the fuck is this?
poured lighter fluid all over her arms, her legs, her stomach, and finally her face, dumping lighter fluid even into her eyes. Then they put a candle to her face, igniting it all. She weakly attempted to put out the flames, but didn't have the strength to do so. This final torture lasted for a grueling 2 hours altogether.
2 hours,
Already
Jesus,
having been in a horrible
I'm so
condition,
sorry.
Junko went into shock and finally died the following day. Minato's brother called him within 24 hours to inform him that Junko had died. The boys all rushed over to the house in a panic.
Get the face off the screen. Junko Furuta. This is a message directly to you, innit? Honestly speaking, you were just a girl that went to school, got on with her life, did well, got good grades, was a good person. You respectfully rejected somebody because you just wanted to focus on your studies, which is a lot of people do not do nowadays because they want to put their heads in different stuff. And for that reason, everything that was listed off was done to you purely based off rejection. I say this again directly to Junko Furuta, sorry. If that is the case, that you were begging for death after obviously a certain amount of days, honestly speaking, who wouldn't? And the fact that it happened for 42 days, which means it was happening for over a month and almost 2 weeks. Honestly speaking, I'm so sorry he had to go through that for so long. And to the bastards that took part or was there to watch, may you rot. And I swear to God, yeah, I only say this to certain people in life. But to those people who took part and watched, may you rot in the deepest, darkest, most torturing parts of hell. You deserve every form of punishment in the book, even punishments you never even knew existed. May you rot in the deepest parts of hell. Because for this level of crime, I would imagine you got at least a minimum of 60 years to life. I don't expect you to be free at all. None of these people. This is fucking bonkers. And there's 10 minutes left.
Hours to inform him that Junko had died. The boys all rushed over to the house in a panic. Fearing what would certainly be a life sentence, or even a death sentence, the boys started to freak out. But they came up with a plan. The captors then put her body into a 55-gallon oil drum and filled it to the brim with concrete. A small bit of Junko's long hair was poking out the top of the concrete, something they apparently didn't notice. They disposed of the barrel at a construction site in Koto, Tokyo. Seeing that place now, you'd never imagine something like this was buried there. There was originally a good chance that the police would never find out who did this. There weren't any clues to go on. Luckily, Hiroshi is a moron. While he was being questioned by the police 2 weeks later involving their recent gang rape of the unrelated 19-year-old woman, he got confused and thought the police were talking about Junko, as the cases were so similar. And thinking that one of the other boys must have already confessed, he spilled the beans. He realized his mistake, but it was already too late, and he told the police where they had hid the body. Joe Ogura had already been arrested for another unrelated sexual assault case. He was quickly also arrested for Junko's case as well.
Good.
The other boys were then arrested within the next few days.
Good.
Later, the drum was finally opened and the concrete was broke open, revealing Junko's long-deceased body in a nightmare-inducing, horrific condition. Junko's family was notified and told of what happened to her in detail. When her mother heard the details of what was done to her, she fainted. She ended up in a long-term stay in a psychiatric hospital. An autopsy was performed on...
Jesus Christ. I forgot the parents. Forgot about the parents. I can't believe they actually told the parents in full detail what had happened to this girl. Surely there are like precautions in place for you, like if the crime is too great, surely you should not be telling them that, no? But then to be fair, somehow it always gets out to the news, and I don't know in it, but there should be like precautions in place, bro. What? She fainted and ended up in a psychiatric facility for a very long time. I can't. It's not impossible because I think a lot of people would do the same. I think I'd go mad. If I heard that my daughter, my lovely, intelligent, beautiful daughter, was raped, tortured, abused, pissed on, everything. Every disgusting torture thing you can think of. I think I'd go insane. Because honestly, like, I know either that same night or the very next day, I will find a way to get a gun or a bomb or something. And every single one of these individuals will pay with their lives. I'm not even kidding. That is horrific. I pray that the dad and especially the mum is in a much better mental state, but who can be after hearing that? Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if they weren't. Fuck me. Jesus.
Junko, revealing the true horror of what had happened to her. Small bottles were found still stuck in her rectal cavity, and it was revealed that she was pregnant, although the damage to her uterus was severe.
Pregnant?
Her face was so completely mutilated that she had to be identified by her fingerprints. Being that they were juveniles, the court withheld the names of the 4 captors. But journalists from Shukan Bunshin magazine were able to find out exactly who they were and publish the names of all of them.
Thank you to the news agency for fucking giving out the names to the public. I don't give a fuck if these are children. I don't care. Reveal their names so the public know who they are, and they can search them up so they can find out what they fucking look like. And they get what they get. They get their just desserts. I'm telling you. Sometimes, I don't care what age you are, if you do a gruesome act like that, there should never be a chance for your identity to be protected just because you're a fucking child. Who gives a fuck? The world is too nice. Did you, the judge, like, to the judge or whatever it is, I don't care if it's the law, bro. Did you not listen to every detail of this case and think to yourself, do these people even deserve to get their identities hidden? No. Fuck that. Reveal it. Disgusting. Disgusting.
Stating that they were inhuman and therefore didn't deserve human rights. Nobody really contested this. As we know, they were Hiroshi Miyano, 18 at the time, Joe Ogura, also 18 at the time, Nobuharu Minato, who was 16 at the time, and Yasushi Watanabe, who was 17. All 4 of these monsters were caught and sent to trial. During each trial, it was pretty common for onlookers to pass out upon hearing the details of the case. Even with all that they had done, they didn't really show any semblance of remorse. And despite all of this, they received extremely light sentences for such horrific crimes.
No, they didn't.
They were actually still being tried as juveniles, but after much backlash, they were changed to adult status.
Thank God.
Still, after being upgraded...
Thank God. 2 of them aren't even fucking adults. Sorry, aren't even children. They're adults. 2 of them were 18 at the time when this happened. So they are adults. Why are they being tried as children? Juveniles. Bro, they are adults. 2 of them, if you want to obviously go by the laws of what it is, fine, they're juveniles, whatever, fine, they're children. They're children, fine. But the other 2 still protected their identities and treat them as juveniles even though they were 18. Stop it, man. I don't know what the laws are in Japan. Maybe 18 isn't classed as an adult, but 18 is classed as an adult in a lot of countries, if not most. Diabolical. Fucking hell.
To adult status, they received unbelievably light sentences. Something that, to this day, continues to enrage people who hear about this case.
100%. What's the sentences?
The boys, somehow, were not charged with murder. Instead, they received a charge called causing bodily injury resulting in death. In Japan, the juvenile court system is far more focused on rehabilitation rather than punishment. Something that you'll remember if you saw my Yukio Yamaji video. Usually this means that juveniles will end up getting relatively very low sentences. Hiroshi was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Minato got a 5 to 7 year sentence himself. Watanabe got 9 years, and Joe got an 8-year sentence.
3 people got less than 10 years. Obviously, the main man, yeah, he got 20, but only 20? Is that it? Minimum 60 years. Minimum 60 years. No parole. 60 years minimum. He comes up when he's like 78 at the very minimum. 60 to 100-year sentence. Get this guy off the streets. And cool, if you want to be nice, you want to be like a bit like, because all their kids or whatever, fine. Oh, whatever, fine. At least a minimum of 20 years. 20 years what the kids should have gotten. The two kids. The other person who's 18 should have got 20 as well. Not even, but you know what I'm trying to say? They all should have got 60 minimum. For the two kids, 20 years. That's ridiculous.
One sad thing is that these monsters actually received even lower sentences than that at first.
What?
They were only increased to the still low amount after an appeal.
Oh.
It was so low that some people even questioned if their Yakuza ties were to blame for this. By the time of this recording, every single one of the 4 boys is out of jail and living free. 3 of them were in jail for less than 8 years. Hiroshi, the ringleader, was sentenced to 17 years originally. He tried to appeal, but as kind of a fuck you, the judge actually upped his case to 20 years. The same thing happened to 2 of the other boys, and after seeing enough, the 4th boy decided not to try to appeal. However, they all ended up getting out long before those sentences were actually up. And I bet you're wondering if they continued to commit crimes after they got out of jail. Well, let's see.
Whether they did or didn't, I don't give a fuck.
After Nobuhara Minato got out of jail, he changed his first name to Shinji. He did this for obvious reasons. In 2006, he got married to a woman from Romania and had a daughter together. They soon divorced, and the wife ended up with custody of the child. Minato couldn't stay away from murder for too long. He was eventually arrested again for the attempted murder of a businessman. The man had noticed Minato staring at him, to which he asked, "What are you looking at?" Minato came over and punched the man. The man then got out of his car and a fight ensued. It escalated to the point that Minato took out a baton and beat him severely. As the victim tried to get back into his car, Minato slashed his neck with a knife he had hidden. The police were called at some point and they rushed to aid the victim. In the chaos, Minato escaped. He was soon caught and arrested. He denied attempted murder, saying he only intended to beat the man. The case is ongoing.
Ongoing? What is wrong with Japan? This is what happens when you sentence this level of monster to only 8 years. And for some reason, he was given the grace to have a wife and a child at some point in his life. He deserves nothing. He deserves nothing but piss and shit off the ground. Deserves nothing.
Ogura was released in August of 1999. He also ended up changing his name to Joe Kamisaku. He actually had the gall to brag about his role in the kidnap and torture. His father had vowed to give their entire life savings to Junko's family out of shame. But Joe ended up taking this money and using it for himself to live a fairly extravagant lifestyle. Joe's mother wasn't much better, as she actually vandalized Junko's grave, saying that it was Junko who ruined her son's life.
Oh my god, as a woman, a grown woman, you sat there and listened to everything that your son did to that poor girl, and you turn around and have the cheek to say that it was her fault and she deserved it because she brought it upon herself? Why? Because she rejected someone because she wanted to focus on her school? She deserved to get raped, beaten time and over and over again for 42 days? Are you serious? Some people don't deserve freedom of speech. On my life, they don't. I want to say something, innit? But I can't.
Joe actually managed to find some women to date him. He ended up marrying a Chinese woman, but the marriage didn't last too long. Afterwards, he started dating another woman. He went back to prison in July 2004 for 7 years for beating a guy he thought was luring his girlfriend away from him. He had kidnapped and beaten the man for 4 hours. He proudly told the victim that he had killed before and would do it again. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison.
Oh, yeah.
But in 2009, he was once again free, and he is still free to this day. The ringleader, Hiroshi Miyano, went right back into his previous gang activity immediately after being released from prison. He was arrested for fraud at some point after this, but didn't see jail time for it. Right now, it seems that he's living a fairly normal life. Some might even say a good life. He is a regular patron at a local kickboxing gym and appears to have a normal social life. As of now, Yasushi Watanabe is the only one of the four boys who hasn't been arrested since. Because of that, it's not really known what he's been up to. Since the investigation first started, the police have been able to get DNA from the sperm and pubic hairs found in evidence to link several more criminals to the crime, including two men named Koichi Ihara and Tetsuo Nakamura, both of whom were arrested, and there are probably many others who have not been revealed to the public. It is unknown if they will all face any sort of charges. Time will tell.